And welcome to the SB Fantasy Football Podcast, where gosh darn gee golly willikers, we try hard. I'm Alan.
I'm RD. How you doing, bud?
You know what, brother? I'm just living the dream. We're another day closer to football season.
Cheers to that.
Schedule came out last week. You're starting to get little voluntary camps going on. Draft is done and over with. The Bears are going to win the next 15 Super Bowls. I saw an absurd post today that I got to go over with you towards the end.
Oh God.
Uh, but so what are we talking about? You're running this shindig that we got going on here. What are we talking about here today, buddy?
Well, so it's just going to be pick one, choose one, right? And we're doing this is studs edition. This isn't like these are going to be guys that are drafted in like the 12th round or anything like that. We're easing into the season, and so
Okay.
but they are some challenging decisions, and I
Okay.
think that each of these could bust. Well, maybe not wide receiver. I think wide receiver, you're just picking whoever but
I- i- If we're doing studs edition, are either one of these going to bust?
well,
They
let's
shouldn't,
start.
right? Because they're studs.
Let's go ahead and move on to the first one.
Okay.
We're going to start at the top.
Okay.
QBs, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. And the reason I say bust, because if where you drafted Pat Mahomes last year, he was going off the board in like the late first round, second round, third round, and then when he finishes eighth, he finished eighth last year. Now Josh Allen, he finished first. He is ranked obviously QB1, but he did finish QB1 last year with 392.64 fantasy points. He threw 29 touchdowns and he ran in 15. So he had a heck of a year, 4,300 yards. The dude does it all, right? So, and then that's versus Pat Mahomes, who finished, all the way down to 8. He scored 280. That's the difference. 280.22. You're talking over 100-point difference between these two, and they're at QB1, QB2, being drafted, you know what I'm saying? Pretty high. Pretty high.
Right. But I mean, so do you really consider Mahomes a bust finishing in the top 10?
If where I'm drafting him, yeah, I could, to me that's a bust. And I felt it last year because I drafted him.
Yeah.
I was sitting there, I was like, oh, I couldn't get Allen, but I was like, you know what, I'm getting studs at each position and I feel really good about
Right.
it. Josh Allen right now is the 20th overall pick, average. He's a tier 3 guy. And then you have Pat Mahomes at 31. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's QB4 this year, behind, Sam or let's see, Hurts and Jackson and whatnot. But I for me, he was QB1 being drafted as QB1A versus QB, whatever with Josh Allen. He just didn't perform, right? There was a different year. The Chiefs were just a different team. So, who are you picking?
I'm taking Pat Mahomes, and for me, it's a matter of he's got weapons this year.
Mm-hmm. Well,
You go out and you get Hollywood.
yeah.
You draft Xavier, who's your new speedster, right? Well, you got 2 speedsters there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'll see how long Rashee Rice is out. You still have Travis Kelce there. But I think with the addition of Hollywood and Xavier, I think those are 2 good additions, and I think you're going to see some good things out there. And it's Pat Mahomes,
Yeah.
right? And you don't know who's catching the ball in Buffalo. Like Stephon Diggs isn't there anymore, so you lack a true number one.
Mm-hmm.
But does that mean Josh Allen's going to be throwing the ball around a lot more? Are they going to be losing more games now? And so therefore he's got to start throwing the ball around a lot more. But I'm going with Pat Mahomes, right? It's just like when you're talking, like when you used to talk like playoff football when Brady was in his heyday. Are you
Mm-hmm.
really betting against Tom Brady? No, no, I'm not, because he's Tom fucking Brady.
Oh,
This
Jesus.
is Pat Mahomes,
Oh,
okay?
God.
I'm not.
I mean, for me, I'm going right back down Josh Allen You know what I mean? Right back
Okay.
to Allen. I have to, and he's proved it. And he'll continue to prove it. I mean, hell, Diggs didn't. I don't think Diggs was a impacted anything much last year, right? He wasn't. He was not. What that Kincaid came on the scene and was getting more action towards the end, and I think that's great. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
The kids, and we're actually. Oh, I left him off of this one. I was like, but yeah, no, I gotta have Allen in this one. I'm not going to get burned again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm concerned about though with Allen. Uh, the turnover number to go up because of the lack of a top receiver, because of the lack of having a guy that he trusts, that he knows, hey, if I throw him a jump ball, he's either coming away with it or knocking it down. And he
Yeah,
does not have that this year. He doesn't have that player. He doesn't have that guy this year.
yeah. I
And
mean,
so
he's gonna
he's
in
already
the
got
red
a high
zone.
number of turnovers, right? He's
Boy,
already a
he
guy
had
that
some
you have to
ball
worry about
security
those.
problems early. Remember that early on the year when he was just fumbling in the red zone?
Yep.
It was crazy. But yeah, no, it's not enough for me to like be deterred
Okay.
when it comes to
All right.
that. So
All right.
yeah, I gotta have him. So next up, we're gonna do Brees Hall or Bijan Robinson. Brees Hall finished 7th last year. Bijan finished 12th. Yeah, obviously the Atlanta Falcons are a completely different team this year. And can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? You're taking a look at their stats and where they're being drafted right now. You got Brees Hall, number 7 overall, RB2, obviously behind Christian McCaffrey, and then Bijan's right there at number 8.
This one's a tough one for me because you saw a lack of use of Bijan Robinson last year. You really did.
Arthur
Um,
Smith, he doesn't know what he's doing.
eh, and that's why you've had a change in leadership there though,
Yeah.
right? That's why you have a new head coach out there. You've got a quarterback now in Kirk Cousins
Hmm.
who's going to be able to sling the ball around, so you're not just going to be able to stack the box. Um, you still have Tyler Algier there, who's a solid running back. Um, but I expect like when they hired Raheem Morris out there, they said, look, we drafted this kid to be our workhorse. Make it happen.
Right.
We got rid of the last guy because he didn't do it. I need you to make this happen. Right. And then with Brees Hall, I mean, Brees Hall's he's the top dog out there. And I honestly feel like he's just going to have an even better year this year, a year after. The first year after the Achilles injury is always kind of, it's okay, but
Yeah.
it's that year after where those players really have that rebound and get back to where they were. So you could definitely look for him to do. But again, is Aaron Rodgers going to be healthy? Because if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, I don't know who you have.
Yeah. I mean, that's
I
something that falls
honestly, I
down.
have
And you
no
didn't have him
idea who the
last year. Yeah, you didn't have him last year either, but he carried the ball 223 times. He almost broke 1,000 yards, 994, scored 214.5 fantasy points, rushed only 5 touchdowns though. That's only 5 that's bonkers. Wait, I'm sorry. He had 5 receiving touchdowns, and then hold on. Let me get these things. They're blending
hold.
together.
I'm
Hold on.
holding. I'm holding.
He had 9 touchdowns, 4 receiving, 5 rushing. So he had 9. So, which is
You had
still
bad offense last year. It was a bad offense.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But he was
it
hyped up. He was hyped up.
yeah kept Dalvin Cook on the bench.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, he really did. And everybody was like, "Oh man, Cook's going to come over here and cut into his time." It lowered his draft, capital a little bit, and everybody started getting nervous about playing him on a weekly. I was like, "Dude, Dalvin Cook ain't coming to the game." I love Dalvin Cook. When he was on the Vikings, I could not get enough. I drafted him, tried to draft him every single year. But yeah, I mean, so between and I think Bijan's gonna have a great year. Whole new team management, everything over there in Atlanta. You got Kirk Cousins there. Speaking of how running backs do well with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and the kid is talented. When they used him and utilized him, he was putting on a show.
Yeah.
I'm talking his cuts, the jukes, all that stuff. I mean, he was a highlight reel. But then they were like, go grab some pine.
I'm leaning more towards Bijan, for that very reason. I really expect them to work him. Right, you draft a running back high in the first round
Mhm.
because you're going to get the usage out of him early in his career. You don't draft a guy early in the first round to not play him,
Yeah.
right? It's let's
And, I
go.
was talking how 9 touchdowns was really low and that, Bijan just wasn't utilized. He had 8 and he wasn't even utilized nowhere near how he could have been and is in, obviously so you don't see his potential or whatever. For me personally, if I have to pick between the 2, I'm going Bijan. I'm hoping someone in front of me takes Breece Hall away so I don't have to make this decision. And then I pick Bijan and yeah, I'll take that fantasy trophy. Thanks.
Okay.
He's gonna be a league winner, I think, this
I
year.
so
Which we'll talk
that's a
about those.
conversation for another day because you threw a topic out there that I definitely want to discuss, and I'll just go ahead and tease it because we'll talk about it at some point in time. Maybe not today, but another episode where you ask me is, will Detroit Lions players win you your league?
Mhm.
And I'm very opinionated on that. I'm a Lions fan.
Of
There's
course.
I'm not, no secret there.
You'll just
But
say yes, so.
I think my answer will surprise you. How about that?
And it's one of those things where it's all right. So the reason I brought that up and to continue the tease, but give you also a look into why, it's a team that's absolutely stackable. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to go for. So this isn't we're not going to do just the Detroit Lions. We're going to look at we're going to pull up the Atlanta Falcons too. We're going to pull up other teams that have a great running or a good quarterback, running back, what did I say? Quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end combo. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So you're talking 4 good players, 4 stud players on one team. And we're going to go, there's a handful of them out there. Obviously, there's some teams out there like, Carolina. I'm not taking a shot at the Carolina Panthers. I'm just saying we're not going to have an episode on the, you know, Carolina Panther
Uh,
players when you fantasy
Bryce
champion.
Young's looking good so far this year. That's what I'm hearing. I'm just saying.
Anyways. So, but yeah, I like the tease, but yeah, we'll be talking about that soon.
All right.
All right. Let's go to wide receiver. These are these guys and they finished or they're wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. It's CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill. And right now, CeeDee Lamb is number 2, being drafted number 2 overall. Tyreek Hill on average number 3 overall. They finished 1 and 2 last year. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me go over here. So CeeDee Lamb finished number 1 at 268 points. Tyreek Hill 257. I think I pretty much know who we have to go with,
Do you?
but yeah, I think, and I don't want to. But yeah, so tell me what's your thoughts on these 2 dudes?
I look at the two teams and I see a team in Dallas who did not get better this offseason, who got worse, who lost your best offensive line in your team's history, arguably, right? Um, who's your second wide receiver?
Brandon Cooks? Oh no, he's gone. He's no, it is Brandon Cooks. Yeah, he's there, right?
Okay, Cooks really didn't do much last year,
Mm-hmm.
right? Picked it up a little bit the second half of the season, but the first half of the season was nothing. Um, you don't have a run game.
They brought back Zeke. Rico
Okay,
Dowdle's
okay.
technically number 2 now. They do have Zeke listed as their starter.
But then I look at Miami and I
Mhm.
see a team that it's an up and coming team. Uh, Offensive genius over there in Mike McDaniel, right? Uh, say what you will, but adding Odell makes that wide receiver group better.
He's wide receiver
He
3 for the
does.
team.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
You got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, you got Odell Beckham
Tua
lining up.
showed last year he can stay healthy.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. They finally protected him.
he's coming into this. He's from all reports I'm hearing, he's lost a little bit of weight, but not a lot, right? Because part of what he did to stay healthy was bulk up a little bit. Well, now he brought it down a little bit. He's finding that median ground right there, right?
Mhm.
Um, and with Tyreek Hill, it's when you're talking fantasy, you're talking where can you get those extra points at? And you get those extra points with your 40 plus yard receptions in a lot of your leagues and your touchdowns. So this guy's going to peel off 60, 70-yard touchdowns, big play touchdowns, where you're going to get those extra bonus points. And I just think it's just a better team that he's on that regardless of what they do, because they are getting better in the run, but no matter how well they run the ball, they're still throwing the ball all over the place. So I just look at the team as a whole, and I think Miami's gotten better this year. They've addressed some needs, and Dallas hasn't addressed anything.
Right. And it looks like the only reason that Tyreek is second to CD because Tyreek played 16 games versus CD 17. I mean, their yards 1,749 for CD, 1799 for Tyreek Hill. He was this close to 18 on 1 yard. But I will say this, CD gave you 12 touchdowns last year in the air, and he ran 2 in. I don't know if that helps out. He is involved with the rushing game.
They find a way to give him the ball,
Yeah,
right?
they
And
wanna get
he's
the
gonna I
Super
think
Bowl
he's
thing.
gonna have more receptions because lack of targets there, lack of other targets there.
He
Where
gets
with
peppered.
Miami, it's Waddle, it's Hill. You've got A Chain coming out of the backfield, right? You've got Odell that we talked about that they added. Whereas Dallas, it's CD.
Yeah. And he did fumble the ball 3 times versus Tyreek once. I remember that, man. I remember that fumble from Tyreek too. Just I was like, come on. It was his only one of the year too. But for me, I think I look, I love Tyreek Hill. I draft him every year, every time I get a chance. I love the explosiveness. I love the big plays. He's great to watch. You're hitting the over every single week on receptions.
Yep.
You're hammering that. But you know, I think Dallas is going to throw it a lot this year, and they're going to just keep peppering Lamb. And he seems to stay healthy, right? He seems to play the entire game. He played 17 games last year. You
Yep.
know, it he got 181 targets and caught 135 balls.
Yeah.
And but if I have to pick, I think I am. I As much as I love Tyreek Hill, there was like a couple games. I mean, there was a couple games where he scored like 50 points. But there's a couple games where he just didn't do it. I think CeeDee Lamb had a more average or a more even kill. He was scoring like 30 points a game, it seemed like, especially in like our leagues. Our leagues were out of control. But yeah, you're talking these two dudes, they're gonna finish 1 and 2. They might do it again this year. Amal Ra's right there at number 3, but there's like a 40-point difference between 45-point difference between him and then the other two. The other two are just a cut above. You know what I mean? There's these tier 1 guys. But and you get Jamar Chase if he's got a healthy Burrow. That's a whole nother thing. This is a which would
We're
you
not
rather
talking
see?
about those guys. We're talking about these two.
So you're
Uh,
picking Hill and I'm going with Lamb.
I'm taking Hill. You're taking Lamb. But here's the thing. I don't think you lose either way.
Yeah.
Honestly, with whichever one of these two guys you take, you're not going to regret it. Um, you're getting a good player either way.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting a good player. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, the difference is going to be a couple points. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Throughout the entire season. So you're not going to make a bad decision. I mean, either way, you're fine. Either way, you're
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
But this is like a personal preference for us. All right, tight end. We got Trey McBride or Mark Andrews. Trey McBride finished 9th last year. Mark Andrews finished 11th, but he had that injury. He got that hip drop tackle. That's not even legal anymore. You know what I mean? So they aren't being drafted anywhere, like not even tier 4. They're pretty far down on the board, after like Laporta and Kelsey and whatnot. But I wanted these two because they are studs in their own right. And Mark Andrews has been a top 2 receiver when he stays healthy.
And that's the key phrase there that you had. When healthy.
Mhm.
And
That was a
he
fluke
played
last year, though. They just broke
well,
his,
well,
you know.
10 games last year, 15 the season before that,
Mhm.
17 in 2021, right? 14, 15, 16. That's what you're looking at with him, right? Odds are he's going to miss a game or two. He missed more
This
last year,
this game.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and then I love Mark Andrews, love him.
Yep.
Uh,
Big fan. Let me say this then. Their average right now being drafted, Trey McBride, number 53 overall, and then Mark Andrews, 61 overall. Um, I think Trey McBride had a hell of a year last year. I expect to just see he should just blow up, to be honest. Like the only reason that I wouldn't pick Mark Andrews, and I like I said, I love Mark Andrews. But yeah, you're right. He played 10 games last year. Is something going to happen again? Is he going to get hurt? I'd have to take the kid at this point. He played all 17 games, and he got better as the year went on. And
You got Kyler there.
Murray's back, right? And he's slinging it. So that could be a crazy high-powered offense where, again, we might be doing a show on the Arizona Cardinals. Can they win you a championship too? So, but I mean, it sounds like you're shying away from Mark Andrews, and that's your boy.
Well, I'm shying
That's
away
your
from
boy.
Mark. It is. He is. But I don't think I'd draft Trey McBride. Like, I don't see a situation or scenario where I draft Trey McBride. I don't have him high on my board. And it's nothing. It's just, I just Arizona, right? Kyler. A lot of unknowns there. I think I have a bigger potential with a Mark Andrews because when he's healthy, he's he's the guy, right?
Yeah.
And the nice thing with him is if he does go down, you've got a pretty good chance of picking up Isaiah Likely,
Yeah.
and he steps right in and fills that void, right? Now I
That
don't
was
see myself drafting
insane.
them both. I'm not going to go in and draft them both because
Ah,
I'm not spending 2 roster spots on my tight end. With a handcuff situation. Let me clarify with a handcuff situation. I'm
mm,
not handcuffing my tight end. Now, if I could get like a Travis Kelsey and a Mark Andrews, and I got a flex position, now we're talking,
yeah.
right? Or maybe a little Sam Laporta action going on. But as with my tight end board, I just don't really. I've got other guys that I'm more excited about that I feel like there's a lot more potential with over Trey McBride. Um, so if you're giving me the option between those two, I'm going to take Mark Andrews, my known commodity. He's my binky. He's my safety blanket. I love him. I try and draft him every year. I have a couple leagues every year that I have him in, and I've never regretted it. Last year, okay, he only played 10 games, but those 10 games, pow, he's got you right.
Yeah.
And then I was able to pick up Likely in most of those leagues. But I'm gonna go with Mark Andrews. I'm just not. I'm not high on the Arizona situation. I think that's what it is the situation there in Arizona. You got a team that's rolling with Kyler Murray, but they don't believe in him. They don't want him.
Mm,
I think they're rolling with him and going with him because they're hoping they're going to lose a lot of games and get a top pick, and then be able to get their guy next year.
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Me personally, I think as much as I love Mark Andrews, I'm gonna go. I really do think I'm gonna have to go Trey McBride. I think he's got a great schedule too. It's favorable for him, but I just he's a kid. I don't think he's gonna. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt or anything like that. I think that it's the healthiness is gonna come into play. But if you're getting Mark Andrews, obviously, like you said, you're going to jump on Likely as soon as something happens, and he's going to fill in, and the backup can score just as much as Andrews. So it's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter who they're putting out there. You know what I mean? So I think this time I'll go McBride. That's what I'll do. I feel pretty good, and he's overall tight end 3. Like I said, he's being drafted somewhere. If depending on the
Tight
league
end
that you're in,
3 right now.
yeah, and this PPR obviously, like I said, and he's being drafted in the 5th round, depending on how many teams you got. So I mean, 5th
If
round seems crazy, but
may- Maybe I'm
draft's
just
crazy.
missing the boat on this guy, right? And I just don't see it. But I feel like I'm Owen Wilson over here going, wow, wow. I just I don't have Trey McBride at number 3 on my board,
Yeah,
as far as tight ends are concerned. There's a lot of guys I like better.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll tell you this too: in the 17 games versus Mark Andrews 10 games, the difference between their score 10 points at the end of the season. Yeah, no, Trey Bry caught on towards the end. He wasn't pounding it from day one, but yeah, it was
he got
insane.
to 3 touchdowns, right? And you need more than that out of your tight end.
Yeah.
Your tight end is going to be someone who's going to be a big target in the end zone and get you some touchdowns. Now,
Yeah.
you did play on a really bad Arizona team last year,
Hmm.
not bad enough to get you your future quarterback, but still a bad team that got rid of Hollywood too, right?
Hmm.
You got rid of your top target there. Now, does that mean more targets for Trey McBride? I mean, someone's got to get the ball. It's a numbers game at that point in time. You got to throw it to somebody.
It's a numbers
But I
game.
just I
Yeah,
don't
he
know.
really didn't start
Maybe
popping off till week 8. You know
maybe
what
I
I mean?
gotta go back and take a look at some things, and I'm completely missing this, the whole Trey McBride thing, but
Mhm.
I I'm not buying it. I'm not buying in on it. I don't know. I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So he didn't get good or pop off until actually against Baltimore. He scored 15.5 points. Then he dipped again in Cleveland with 2, and then 13 in Atlanta, 4.5, 4.3 in Houston, then 14, 10. So it just really depended. And now you actually have a healthy Kyler Murray there, and that's what's driving it. I think that's what's pushing him to be so high. The talent he has, and then with a healthy a QB who's going to sling it. You know what I mean? He's gonna scramble, look for an open guy. He's a big dude. He got a good hands, and he's a playmaker. So, but
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. I'm just not seeing it, and we'll get in. Maybe we'll get into that more when we do our tight end rankings,
Mhm.
and I can really sit down and look at some stuff. But
I got you. It's all good. It's all
off the
good.
top of my
This is
head, I'm
just
like, no, 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 no. I'm like, all of these names pop in my head. I'm like, no, give me Dallas Goddard, give me T.J. Hawkinson coming off a ACL injury, give me Sam Laporta, give me Travis Kelce. I mean, I there's 5 right there without even thinking about it,
yeah,
right?
no, I'm not saying he's number 1. He's not number 2. So Sam Laporta and Travis
You're
Kelce
saying
be
he's
number
number
1, number 2.
3. I
Yeah,
I
but
don't see it. I don't see like I just said, I'm gonna take Mark Andrews over him.
yeah.
I I don't see it. I don't know.
It's fine.
Maybe I'm dumb. Let me know in the comments if I'm dumb. How about that?
I mean,
Odds are, yes, I am dumb, but I think I'm right on this one.
I don't think I'm right on this one.
I think
I
I
got a
got
feeling.
this one. I think I got this one.
We won't know until until the end of next season or
We
whatever,
won't. We
until,
won't.
or
We might know early in the season.
yeah. Oh
Maybe
god.
maybe he gets a hurt. You don't want
Something
him to get
just
hurt,
goes.
but maybe he strains his taint and he's out. Who
Oh,
knows?
Jesus
You don't know
Christ.
what's gonna happen.
That's one thing I love about I just looking at, just kind of getting back into fantasy football, talking about it, looking at it, and like, it just who would you rather have and things like that. Because there's nothing we're not doing our rankings until July, August. Well, we do mock drafts. I do a mock draft every first Monday of the month. And we'll start gearing up, but it's just fun to have a little conversation because I'm watching the league now. I'm rewatching the league. you know, and it just I love fantasy football. I know you do too. And it's just like, it's hard to just take a couple months off, but just hey, I need to unwind, decompress because the season's so long and every week is just a gut check, right? But this is why I want to do these little fun, quick 20-30 minute episodes where hey, we're picking studs because there will be people who choose Pat Mahomes over Josh Allen, just like you did, right? There's people that are going to pick
A lot
Brees
of people
Hall
are
or
gonna pick that.
Bijan or whatever. Now Tyreek and CD to me is a coin flip. It's whoever you can get your hands on. But we like I said, I took Lamb, you took Hill, and the McBride Andrews comparison is a little bit further down the list, right? I didn't go tight end one. I didn't do because I didn't think Kelsey. Kelsey, he's always been a tight end one, but now Laporta's taken over, and now it's kind of like there's a lot of disparity there between these. I don't know. But anyways, that's a whole nother damn show. But anyways, we'll do more of these as the season goes on, and we'll pick studs from each division or each position, and we'll just have a nice little chat about it.
So let me throw this out here. It's completely off topic of what we're talking about, right?
Oh, great.
But
Okay.
it's still fantasy. It's almost football related. Okay,
Almost football
almost
related.
just straight football and not like fantasy, right? But you can relate it to fantasy. How's that sound? Okay.
I mean, someone said they didn't care about their fantasy points or whatever one day, like it was a pro. I go, well, fantasy points are a direct indicator of how you
Reflection
perform
of
on
how
the field.
exactly 100%. But it's we've talked about it several times. Bears fans have become completely delusional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I saw a post, a lot of posts that are in they're a Lions fan, and a lot of Lions fans go into groups for other teams in the division, right? They just want to see what they're saying, things like that. And they love sharing these delusional ideas that these ideas of grandeur, right? They think they're going to win the next 40 Super Bowls with Caleb Williams, all this stuff, right? But they're throwing it out there now that, hey, name a team that has a better trio than we do
I
because
saw it. I saw it.
DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze, you good luck finding a better trio. I'm like, okay, you got a guy who's over the hill, can't stay
Easy,
healthy. Yeah,
easy.
no. Hey, I know
I
you love.
love Keenan Allen.
I know.
You
I
watch
love
your
him
mouth.
too. But let's be realist here, okay? Let's be real.
All right.
We're in the tree of trust right now, okay? Keenan Allen's old. He gets hurt. It's just, it is what it is, okay?
I
DJ
don't like.
Moore, yeah, I like DJ Moore.
I like him too.
We have no idea what the kid's gonna do. He's a rookie.
Someone has to throw the ball.
How many? No, I'm talking about the receiver.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh,
Rome.
yeah. Rome.
How many times have you seen a wide receiver taken in the top 10 who's completely bombed? You see it a lot. There's no surefire thing in this league. Just because you're taking it in the top 10 doesn't mean you're gold, right? Because if it meant that, the Browns would have won so many freaking Super Bowls because they're always drafting in the top 10. But they're always drafting in the top 10 because the players they take kind of suck. I'm just saying. But come on.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
I feel you. Just to kind of.
Not to mention, you got the rookie throwing to him.
Yeah, that's
number
the issue.
one quarterbacks work out all the time. No, they don't.
Oh God, I went to go see where they're actually ranked. And I want to see how far up they are because the Bears fans have been we had Brandon Combs on, and he talked about it, and he was like, the Bears
He
fans
wanted Bo Nix. He wanted Bo Nix over
Yeah.
Caleb Williams. He's upset they took Caleb, and he's like, hey, let's just get Bo Nix.
Well, let me tell you this. I Googled it, and I've landed on CBSSports.com.
Okay.
The number one wide receiver trio right now is the Houston Texans. Okay. And then number 2 is Chicago Bears. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. Odunze, yeah, Rome. And number 3 is Miami Dolphins. I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, maybe we're missing something. Maybe. I mean, the thing is, one, yes, I love Keenan Allen. I've drafted him every chance I could in the past. And then last year, I go back and listen to our shows. It won't be here. It'll be on Strikeout Beer. And I'm like, DJ Moore, baby. DJ Moore. And he drops like 50 points in a couple games. Him and Justin Fields clicked last year. And that was what I was.
Only guy there. And now he's not the only guy there. Expect his fancy numbers to come down this year.
Yeah, I'm not
going to say that right now. DJ Moore's fancy numbers are going to come down.
Yeah.
People are going to take him in their top 5. Honestly, I could see DJ Moore going in the top 5 in your PPR leagues, and he's not going to produce.
There ain't no way. I was high on him last year, but there's no way I can do it. He's number 27th overall right now. He's a wide receiver 16. That's where DJ Moore is ranked.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's not going that, but some people will. They'll look at the numbers like, oh, you know what? He did great last year. Not even think about that, new quarterback, a rookie quarterback. And, now there's more people to throw the ball. More people are going to get the ball. I don't even know where Keenan Allen's at now. Let me look real quick. 42. He's 25.
I mean, I'm just going to go. If we're talking about players that are going to catch the ball, okay? We're talking about players that are going to catch the ball, and you're talking about a trio of players.
We have derailed already.
I'm going to consider running backs and tight ends in that group too, okay? And if I'm doing that, give me Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs over that Bears trio. Give me Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson over that trio. So I don't even have you as the top trio in your own division. And hey, Christian Watson wasn't bad last year. Romeo Doubs wasn't bad last year. Jaden Reed wasn't bad last year. Throw Josh Jacobs in there too.
Yeah. Now that's something else to even pull up and say who has the best, like say trio, like as in wide receiver, running back, and tight end. I'd like to see those, and maybe we'll take a look at that on the next episode because we are just screwing around, having some fun,
right?
Getting ready for summer. We're not even, like I said, we're not doing rankings for another couple months, and then we'll start doing, getting a little bit more in depth little bit more detailed oriented and whatnot. But yeah, right now it's just kind of having fun, little hypotheticals, pick one type thing. But yeah, I wouldn't mind going around and ranking, trios like that. Not necessarily like wide receiver trios, but your fantasy point score trios, your stackables, if you want to call them that.
Right.
Where you're stacking running backs, tight ends, and whatnot. And I'm here for that. You know me, I'll always sit down and talk some fantasy.
Oh yeah, let's dive into it. Let's have some fun and let's see what we got.
Yeah,
Right. But yeah, Bears fans, just come on, bring it on down
they're
because you're
just
setting
excited.
yourself up for heartbreak. You're gonna crash hard, hard. You fell in love on the first date before the first date even happened. Okay, you got her to say yes, and you're in love, and you go out on the first date, and next thing you know, she's belching and farting at the table there next to you, and you're like, oh man, what did I do? She took you ordered nachos as your appetizer, and she's taking in all the nachos with all the meat and the cheese and everything on it, and leaving you with the small ones. And she's not sharing. She's not, having the common courtesy to save some of the big ones for you. No, she's going all in every time.
I think Alan's been burned. He's airing out some grievances right now.
Hey, look, as much as I can't wait for the Bears fans to crash hard, and they're gonna crash hard, believe you me. I'm just trying to help them out. Just trying to help them out.
Gotcha.
Looking out for you. Come on. You're the Bears. You've never had a good quarterback. Pump the brakes.
All right, let's get out of here.
I'm just saying. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Did we hit it right on these? Did we not? Are the Bears really going to be? I don't.
Come on.
I don't know, man. I have trouble saying it because it's the Bears. But anyways, as always, guys, I'm Alan.
I'm RD.
We'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.